And the good thing is, it's in Worth County, so you don't have to chair the meeting.
Please enter your participant or moderator code, followed by the pound key.
Now
True.
at least once I think twice I had to check.
Please say your name, followed by the pound key. You are the first participant in the conference.
I was there for their trails meeting the other night, and it was there. They're trying to get some trails going from Fertile to Hamilton,
Oh,
a trail,
that's not that far.
4 miles, just about right. And then
That'd be the back road then?
the river along,
Along the river?
that's what they're hoping,
A greenway, they call it.
Greenway. It'd be pretty.
Julie has joined.
Oh, wow.
Like transfers.
Carpet going in today, and the final lights and light switch covers. So that's finally 6 months later.
That grows, huh?
Mhm.
Yeah, they're working on our project too.
Are they?
They got started yesterday morning before Steve got there. That's kind of scary.
Oh.
We didn't have a kitchen plan there yet.
Oh. They did such a great job. No complaints there.
Dave was barking at Luke. Trying to keep it a task.
Please say the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I'm doing the roll through.
Yeah, you're doing the
A
roll
little
through.
slower.
And I kind of half kept up with you on it that time. I was thinking of it, but I'm like, oh, I don't want to.
We'll get it one of these days.
Yeah.
Consider for approval minutes and agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve minutes and agenda.
No, second it.
Motion by Gensel, second by Derby to approve the minutes and agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Passed. Scott Minders, engineer.
7511 or 30? Chris is 11. Yeah.
Hey, Eric. We were wondering if Scott would like to come up to the boardroom. We're ready for him. Thanks so much.
That's pretty aggressive. You gotta treat them things a little daintier than
Well, the first one that was gentle, then it had a hollow spot.
that. Oh, so they straightened it out. Got everything squared up.
Seen the weather for the weekend? It's gonna end up with another storm.
Yes.
Supposed to be in the- Yes?
Yes.
70 on Saturday, isn't
And
it?
I can't wait.
I thought it was supposed to be in the 80s
Is it the 80s? I didn't see it. I thought I saw.
on Saturday. That will be a storm, won't it?
Yeah, that could easily brew one up. You got
Oh,
colder.
they changed it. Now it says 75.
Mine says 72 now, so mine's gone up a little. Yours has gone down,
Oh, depends on where you live.
I guess. Oh yeah, this is Fort City. I'm over there in Buffalo Center. We're in Siberia over there.
They're a long ways apart.
Yeah.
I just kind of blend with y'all.
There you go. Yeah, you're kind of.
Windy with scattered
Transient.
thunderstorms. 60% chance.
Wait.
Well, it's just
So much fun.
73 for Buffalo Center.
Mm.
But yeah, it's got a bit of a chance of rain several times.
So did you get a chance to chase tornadoes last week then?
I was in Kansas City, yeah. We were having fun down there.
Was there, eh?
father has Alzheimer's and my mother was in the hospital, so I had to go down there for a few days and cover for my sister who's down there right now, and she goes back to, I think, the University of Nebraska today to go teach. So she's been there for a couple of days, and I was down here and I was watching CBS cover the nonsense in Mason City and Gilmore. They didn't bother to cover Kanawha. That's, yeah, what they were saying, Kanawha. And I did just fingernails on the chalkboard type thing back there. I was like, guys, and I called up 5. I said, Channel 5, which is a CBS affiliate. I said, guys, you do realize it is Kanawha.
Even Belmont, they were saying different, like.
They were pronouncing it like Belmont Steaks.
Yeah.
Yeah, Belmont. Yeah.
Mm.
So what do you guys got?
Well, started doing some work order projects, like some tile repair stuff, some frost still in the ground, but getting going on that, I guess.
Crosses in the ditches too, or just?
Yeah, somewhere like around those tile holes, just because they're exposed. It's not going too bad. Still crushing some concrete. Their crusher was down for a couple of days, so they should be going again today. They're about halfway through crushing, so.
Where's that at then?
Just that young, yeah. So they're working on that. Hopefully start spotting some loads. Supposed to get a gradation on it today. So after we get that, we're good to go. Probably start spotting over by Buffalo Center first. So,
There's somebody approached me about 50th south of Highway 9 there where that dredge ditch, you guys have picked some spots on it already.
Yep.
And they're saying that they think it's still a little too close to the road in a couple spots again or something. I haven't gotten out there and looked at it myself, but when he wants to
yeah.
take a look at it when you're going by that way and see how.
Yep. I'll get over there today and take a look at it.
Told them it's just too bad they built the ditch, the dredge ditch in the ditch.
Yep.
And then it's such a steep one besides.
Yep.
Speaking of ditches close to the road, I spoke with the Rembrandt.
Doing business as Rembrandt.
Yeah, the Versova, I guess, is the company name that the guy had been talking to, Craig. But I sat in their construction update meeting yesterday via Zoom, and so I got to kind of visit with everybody about what we're going to do with the road. And I guess at this point, we're planning to have them take care of the road just like the wind farm does during their construction. They'll have a grader on site and have the ability to haul rock and stuff. So
Maybe we'll just crush it there and haul rock out of the road.
yeah, we'll see what they got. They're going to put me in contact with kind of the construction superintendent, I think, and we'll kind of get Ethan
When
and the
did it
right
start?
person on site. I don't have a good idea on schedule, but it sounds like it's a 2-year project or so.
What's the road like now? Give you a chance to look at it, or?
It's just normal. I mean,
I've been by there from the road, it looks,
Doesn't look bad at all.
I didn't drive up it, I guess.
So maybe it'll be a non-issue. But anyway, they also brought up that you posed the idea of moving the ditch over. And so he said, if that ever happens, they'd want to talk about making improvements to the road as well, paving the road. I said, we can sure work on that together, but most likely,
Well, there's multiple steps in there. To pave the road, then they have to be declared industrial and.
okay. So I didn't know anything about that, and I would think.
Well, it's kind of a typical, the south part, when they were gonna dry, there was gonna be a segment that was gonna be industrial, that was the drying facility.
Sure.
And that would have helped to justify
Sure.
taking
It was getting into an economic development kind of discussion. Sort of outside of my realm, but anyway, he kind of, it seemed like he had the impression like we might initiate that ditch relocation as the county. And so,
what a drainage ditch, or it'd be a combination of the district and the county that have to do it.
so I don't know how that would work, or if the district would be interested in that kind of thing.
I'm sure they don't wanna pay for it.
That's kind of what I thought, so to me, it kind of sounded like a non-starter.
I don't think they'll be interested in paying for it.
It's been through a lot lately.
Mm-hmm.
How much of the building burned down out there?
What building?
They had a fire out there, didn't they?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Lightning strike and Buffalo Center's fire department was out there too.
When was that? The last
The
storm?
night, the storm,
I never heard about it.
like 3 or 4 in the morning, after the storms.
Yeah, Lake Mills was out there too.
Okay.
Which building, I wonder?
I don't know, I have no idea which.
Hopefully it was one of those they're gonna tear
I
down.
was gonna say, I hope it's when they're tearing down.
If they were,
It was?
I think so, it was in the far back.
if they were lucky, then they might get, I don't know
Well,
whether they
far
got
back.
insured or not, you
They
know.
might be using the cage-free buildings for the time being. If it's one of those,
Oh,
that might be detrimental to what they're trying to do.
yeah.
They got 2 cage-frees in the back that they'll use in the meantime, but while they're doing construction, taking all the cage ones down.
It sounded like they were just lucky that the security guard was driving back there at that time.
Oh, you saw it, you saw the
Caught it.
comments.
No kidding. Oh. And there was a lot of lightning that night.
Other than that, we had a meeting with Riley Lewis Todd and Riley Lewis about gravel, and that was, I don't know, probably the first meeting that has been substantial to kind of get everybody's needs on the table. So they have a contractor they're working with that sounds like the person they're gonna use, and so hopefully they have something to me soon. We might have to help them work up a contract, which is fine. We kind of talked about what kind of terms might be in there. Still a ways off. That's all I got.
All right.
Anything else?
I'll check out 50th today.
Okay, yeah, it's a rush in a sense, I guess, but
Yeah.
I didn't go out to see how bad it looked myself, so just. Yeah. Approached me Saturday night in the bar, so he's gonna remember. The only reason I remembered it is because, the guys, someone pulled up next to me out here in the
Chelsea,
parking lot,
is
and
this
I
around
looked like
today?
the guy's wife, and then I'm like,
Oh, she's gone. Okay,
That's right.
thank you. I didn't know Chris was gone. Do you have anything for drainage?
The only thing we had was that email she sent about Robert's land up there.
yeah.
Sounds like we put the spoils in here.
On those two,
On the cropped areas.
on those two pieces right there.
Is that road still slated for this summer, spring, summer,
Bid loading's today.
today?
Might know by the end of the day or tomorrow how the bids come in and stuff, so.
How long is that?
How long's the paving?
Yeah,
How many miles?
how many miles is that?
5 miles, so, well, a little more, so it's 5 miles of county, and then everything in the city limits adds to that. But starting it right by Kibetz there, going north, and then around the corner, around the curve, around the next corner, around the next curve, all the way up to the east-west A16 part that goes through Scarville. So it'll stop 2 miles short of Scarville. I described that very well. That's what I'm doing.
I know it well.
It's where the blacktop ends, turns into gravel. And
The second time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always think about that. It's that corner that's the one that, is that up east side of the river, or is that on, or the west side of the river?
West side of the river.
Yeah. Dollars.
Just west of the river.
All right. There's nothing else? Oh, I guess we've got 15 minutes before
6.
6. Oh, yeah. Open forum.
Julie has left.
Anything for open forum? Did everyone see Scott's email about Rice Lake too? You send that to everyone or just to me?
Trying to remember which one.
Just about the paving that at Rice Lake and that.
Well, I think it was an email to Dennis, and I copied you on it, kind of telling him that we were no longer planning to do the storm sewer work, and that, we have paving planned out there in the next 4 or 5 years. And in the meantime, we'll be trying to clean up right-of-way issues out there. And
So what are the steps to do that?
I'm working on trying to figure out what that scope of work looks like and who I need to help me with that. So I have reached out to some surveyors. It seems like kind of not a fun project, so I'm not getting a lot of bites so far. But I'm doing a bunch of deed research right now, trying to figure out sort of which properties we really need to focus on, so I can try to narrow the scope down. It may be that I
So
just
you're
need.
saying it might take 5 years to try to figure it out before that email.
It might take a couple of years.
It might take a couple, yeah, to say, this property we need to buy an easement from. This area we need to vacate. And this area we need to secure a road easement because we've never had it. And some of these, like the road that leads up to the clubhouse, there are surveys that show the road, but it appears that it has never been deeded to the county or an easement given to the county.
And that was from the state.
Yeah, so, we might be able to just reference surveys that have already been done and just sign easements over to the county, but working with the state's probably a challenge too. So there's several different.
So that'd be DNR parts then? I might have contacts there.
Yeah,
I've got a contact for the new lawyer, with this DNR parts.
okay, sounds like probably a good contact.
She just got appointed to our project, so.
Okay, I don't know when that would be appropriate to reach out to them. We'll have to have a better understanding of what the current situation is, make sure, everything in Beacon is accurately showing what's been done, and kind of have a starting point, and then start to mark up on the map where we need to secure the additional 5-foot easement, where we need to find 66 feet for the entire road, where we have road right away but no road, we can vacate and give to the landowners, all those kinds of things. There's probably 20 parcels in that contract mutual rescission issue. Well, that's, another 20 or so that these extra 5-foot easements will need to secure. Looking through the file too, they had, in the past, a couple times had the landowners sign them over at no cost, in exchange for the county taking over maintenance. So, you know,
That's a
to be
precedent.
consistent, that's probably the way to go about it.
I think my lot out there was, the one I used to have, was one of them that was deeded over.
Anything else for open forum? Can we do auditors transfers?
Corner,
Thanks, gentlemen.
we'll hang out. Corner if you need us.
Oh, we might. Morning, Julie. Hey, how are you? Good.
Oh, that's really good. Dang. Thank goodness this is water.
I remember the first time I had a liquid beverage in
this a-
public, it was just embarrassing.
The parking lot?
No, that's a team.
Oh, gotcha.
You can see, comparing it to the other one.
Oh, gotcha. You know, keep-
No, I'm good.
I'm trying to quit.
Those for you.
You sure?
I already got enough off the floor.
Sit happy hour.
Would anyone like to?
Well, it is Tuesday at 9.
Well, we were having a joke about it yesterday at our meeting.
You know what? There was nothing spelled through that meeting. That was all absorbed.
Has anybody got a gun?
They got a match. Some test.
Yeah, maybe we better see what's, water. I bet it's just water.
Well, it looks like bourbon. I mean, water.
It's only water, you guys.
Okay, all
We
right.
can talk about it. Somebody had a match, we can test it.
Can't take kids anywhere.
I'll make a motion to approve the auditor's transfers.
Second.
Motion by Derby, seconded by Gensel to approve the auditor's transfers. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I do this last, release number 10, maybe?
Semi-monthly county claims.
All the time, you know.
Have entertainment in here today. haven't got those back from the treasurer yet.
Oh, okay, so you have to look at that.
Yeah.
How about the number 12, or 11?
Set the public hearing for a budget amendment.
I left that on my desk.
Don't slip.
Hey, don't slip on the water.
We don't have a hazard sign there yet.
Yeah.
That's right, I just saw Rick, he's coming with the bomb. The day I've had.
You know it was just water, because even Otis and Annie Griffin never spilled any.
You didn't want to waste it.
Good God, that's reaching back.
Not too far. I watch it quite often.
No,
That's not still going
Let me go
on.
real slow.
if you need a shoulder, go right ahead.
Mayberry's still that way.
Yeah, maybe they are.
You could only wish.
It's, 7 till 8 in the evening on Me TV or whatever it is.
Oh, hell no, they've got a 24-hour channel on Pluto TV.
24-hour Annie.
24 hours of Andy Griffith Show.
Oh, darn.
And Mayberry's thrown in there just for fun of it.
What'd you do?
Wasn't me this time.
Well, he just made it worse.
They'll spread it out, it'll evaporate quicker that way. You know, we could have done a little science experiment there because alcohol evaporates faster than water.
You're awesome.
Go ahead, you need my shoulder, you go right ahead.
I don't need to fall.
I was gonna say, I don't want people falling over.
Yeah, she was tripping the ball on top of it here, then we really get some mileage out of it.
Okay, so this is the new conference room? Okay,
So that's
Gotcha.
way in the north end.
okay. So then we'd have parking here.
Well,
So if
might
you
be
sit,
parking.
oh, here and
Drive
here?
around.
Oh, gotcha. So we're just gonna have a
What's that?
basement?
Yeah.
Storage?
I'm not sure. We'd have to walk down from the outside a little bit, a few steps. Up in the north corner somewhere.
Well, now I can't talk because I have no water, so.
Well, if we had known that, we'd have took your water away a long time ago.
Go outside.
So number 11,
It's
set
about
public
3
hearing for
buildings
budget
down,
amendment.
it's called
Is that
Paddler's
4
Tap,
minutes?
you want to check it out.
So what does our constraints tell us for the time of day?
Anybody slipping in the ball?
May 10th at 9:30?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Hey, it wasn't coffee.
We have
Or
our,
Mountain Dew, or AJ's drink.
have one of the dates for
That
our,
stuff would leave a mark.
EMS meeting
what time was that?
on May 10th.
Did we have the resolution for the EMS timed that day?
That's at 6.
Oh, that's one of the public forums.
That's one of the
or
public ones.
hearings. Okay. And then the 17th is the actual approval.
I don't have that on the agenda yet. I don't know what that.
That's one of the dates we.
Yep, to vote on it,
Yeah.
17th.
Yeah. I'll make a motion to set the public hearing for the budget amendment for May 10th at 9:30.
I'll say it.
We have a motion to set public hearing for budget amendment, May 10th, 9:30. From Derby and seconded by Jensvold. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That. I think we're close enough to 9:30. Brittany and Brian to discuss possible health insurance options.
Good morning.
Hello.
We're do you want us to?
I
You go.
think corner's fine.
Right here?
I
Okay.
just
We
did.
have all our corners.
Nice spring, huh? Should we?
Let's start with
Okay. Okay.
you bet. Morning.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning.
May I?
Do we need more chairs?
Have you been prepped at all?
No.
Okay,
Just having.
I told them a little bit.
What it was gonna
Okay.
cost us.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can start.
So I wish we were coming today with good news. Last year, we were able to come and give a pretty good renewal. I think it was flat last year, and offer, a new plan option, and it was great, and all is good, no plan changes. This year, we were pretty surprised to receive the renewal increase from Health Partners of the 49%. So, not a great renewal at all. They come to this decision, analyzing Winnebago County's employees to an extent, and then they pool out a certain amount of claims over, I think it's 60,000. So, the health and what's going on here does impact the renewal, but there are a certain amount of claims that are taken out of that. And so, based on the claims and the usage, since the last renewal, they came with that increase of 49%. In the past, it's been great because I think the first year they had a cap, and so we were a little bit sheltered then. Last year, we had a great claims experience, and so, they said, here's that 0% renewal. But this year it was.
We had some high claims, period. And really with a lot of our groups, and it's hard to make blanket statements because you can find an anomaly anywhere, but generally speaking, a lot of people put off kind of, I don't know if a knee replacement is an elective surgery, but you can kind of time it. But during COVID, a lot of those things couldn't happen as those things started to open up and more surgeries became available. A lot of our groups, we've seen more utilization and a little higher renewals this year. Now and Carla and ourselves, we talked with Health Partners. That's where the 29% budget number came from, was directly from them. So when Brittany says we were surprised, we knew going in it wasn't going to be good, but to see the 49 was a curl over punch to the gut hard. So with all that said, feel like we've had great service and things from Health Partners. So all things being equal, happy with Health Partners, but 49% is unsustainable. So we went down the path of we've got to look at some other options or major plan changes, which obviously wouldn't be great on the employee side, but we've got to figure out something. So what's in front of you here is an option that we think is palatable, given where our claims were at, and everything going on. So we'll just kind of walk you through. So we've got two plans today, what we call the traditional plan, which is page 1, and then the HSA or high deductible health plan on page 2. We'll focus on page 1 first. Roughly 2/3 of our employees are on that traditional plan.
Excuse me, do you have an extra one?
You bet.
Or can we?
I don't know if we emailed that to you, Carla. You want to put it
I
up?
could plug my computer in if we wanted.
Yeah, we can put it, or do you have a,
I can email it to you too.
yeah,
Yeah, it might be easier for everybody to see,
Yeah.
except for you. Do you have a copy?
You can have a paper copy.
Okay.
Julie, if you can't see from back there, you can bring chairs up here too.
do you have another copy?
Well, he's gonna.
He's gonna put it
Well,
on
tell
the
him,
online.
can you just go make a couple?
Oh, yeah.
Is everybody in eyesight of one?
You can go ahead.
Okay. So what we've got here, kind of in the far left column, is our current rates on that traditional plan. The Health Partners renewal, which we know is not acceptable. So we went out to Blue Cross Blue Shield. It's tough in our neck of the woods with Mayo, needing Mayo access and other things. We did look at some other options that I won't even really get into unless you want me to, Carla.
I don't think so.
We looked at some other options that weren't really palatable because of the loss of network. We wouldn't be able to go out of state, essentially. And that was before these Wellmark numbers came back, because we were really scrambling to, like, what are we going to do? And that was one option. Didn't even list it because this Wellmark plan came back better than the other things we looked at. But the first green column, this is where Wellmark's a little unique in the industry. And I know 4 or 5 years ago when you were with the IGHCP plan, we did something, it's called partial self-funding. So you buy a higher deductible from Wellmark, and then you fund it down to the lower employee deductible, and the county kind of covers that small spread between the out-of-pocket on the employee plan and the out-of-pocket on the Wellmark plan. But I'm going to try not to be overly confusing today, but this first plan is just Wellmark straight up if you bought the $1,000, $2,000 deductible plan. And the minus 13%, 13.76 is based off the renewal. So that got us started.
The difference there is just a little bit in the prescription benefits.
Exactly. So what we tried to do for no surprises, there's nothing hidden here, trying to be as transparent as possible. The red we would call kind of decreases in benefit with the plan. And we have limited control over these plans. They're in our market segment 50 to 100. Wellmark gives us 50 plans to choose from, and we can't say, oh, we love this plan, but move it from a $40 copay to 30 or this and that. It's kind of, here's what they are, you choose. So the middle plan, green, is the closest we could find with a high deductible. So this gets a little confusing. The plan, the FAR plan on the right is what we would call the base plan. So that, and we're not, this would, I guess, would be our recommendation, but we're here to discuss and take questions and feedback. But the far right plan is the actual plan we would be buying from Blue Cross Blue Shield. $5,000 deductible, $8,550 out of pocket for a single, 30% co-insurance, and then our prescription drug card down below. So you can almost ignore that to a degree for right now. So our numbers in that middle column are partially funding that high deductible plan down to as close as we could get to what the employees have today. $1,000 deductible, $2,000 out of pocket, and then you can see those. We kind of the way the partial funding works. We have to mirror the copays. We have to mirror the prescription drug card and the co-insurance. So that, and at this rate, and we've got more info to share, but these are rates. We did a 25% utilization, which I would say is on the slightly on the conservative side. We would say, generally speaking, 20% would be what you'd expect of your total risk to be paying back out to people to fund that gap between our employee out of pocket and the Wellmark out of pocket. We aired a little higher because of the way we're running in claims, and there's some, being a mid-year renewal, it's not as scientific to predict. That's that's the traditional plan. Page 2, it's really a similar story. Our health partners plan, the renewal, and then the closest plan we could get to our current employee plans that Wellmark offers is a 3,500 HSA. So we put that in red. That would be a negative, quite high. Then again, we would be in the scenario we're presenting, we would be buying the far right $6,500 plan from Wellmark, and then essentially buying it down to the 3,000, 6,000 plan in the middle green, and again at 25% usage. That was kind of a fast way to maybe to explain it. Now, and I mean, any questions are welcome. In our opinion, I mean, the red would be in our opinion what the employees would be quote unquote sacrificing or changes. So today they have a $15 primary care doctor visit. In the new world, it's $40 copay and $80 for a specialist. So that's a pretty big shift. And again, like we don't take that lightly by any stretch, but we also know 49%. It was catastrophic to start with. So this is our, I guess, kind of a starting point of, and you know, honestly, our options are limited to a degree because of those we can only do what their plans say. But this would be our starting point. Now with what we budgeted, or the 29%, that would be probably another topic of conversation that, you know, going into this partial self-fund world, we have risk. We put in that 25%. Well, what if it's 30? What if it's 30%? Where do we come up with the money? One suggestion would be if we can agree on a plan design, or like, you know, give and take. Yep, I think this is the best plan. This is what we want to do. Do we consider? Easier to see this.
Can you explain to me what a partial self-funding means again?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, partial funding, and Carla, this is the second spreadsheet on the so partial funding is, so we buy those really high deductibles from the carrier. And it's called partial funding because it's kind of like we're self-insuring. Like Winnebago County is going to start paying out claims after a certain point instead of the insurance carrier, like Health Partners right now. Sure. You know, if you meet your $2,000 out of pocket, Health Partners takes on the rest. In the partial funding case, the employee still has that $2,000 out of pocket, but then Winnebago County starts paying those claims up until the $8,550.
Okay.
So, and we're talking about the 25% usage. We are estimating that 25% of the claims will be over that $2,000 out of pocket. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, some groups have less, some groups have more, but that's kind of, that 25% is usually what we see. So most of the time, you know, Winnebago County is not going to be paying between $2,000 and $8,550 on every single person.
It just helps absorb so then the carrier doesn't see the brunt of that.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. And that's why the premiums then are cheaper, right? Because the carrier isn't taking on all of that risk.
Okay.
And great question. And so this is the interesting part. And Wellmark's a little different. Like you could say, well, why didn't we do that with Health Partners?
Yeah.
Health Partners, their spread between the $1,000 deductible and $5,000 was like 14%. It wasn't big enough. Wellmark's is big. And, you know, we work with a number of counties and almost every one does partial funding. It's interesting. And I'm a nerd. But almost, in one sense, the higher your rates are, the better candidate you are for partial self-funding, because that spread is a percentage. So if you had a $400 single rate and you had a 25% savings of going to the high deductible, you'd have a $300 rate, so you'd have a $100 spread in that savings. If you had an $800 rate, it's the same percentage, so you still get a 25% savings, but the money's $200. So it's kind of counterintuitive to think, and what we're seeing too is, and you guys know just from the news, the percentage of high claimants has stayed relatively the same through the last 10 years, but the cost of medical and prescription drugs has gone through the roof. So you could say, well, we've got somebody that's going to be a $400,000 claim. Okay, we're gonna be out of our side fund $6,550. You know, it's capped, and that's the reason to not be. If you're totally self-funded, we'd be buying probably a $75,000 deductible on everyone, and that gets very dicey.
Talking about the two companies, the one thing I saw in my family experience is my wife and my father, when he was alive, both were in the Wellmark system. I thought Wellmark did a better job of getting the prices down, the cost down, and I don't think Health Partners has done as good a job.
Spot on.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons for our rate increase, is that they're not getting the discount that Walmart gets. And I think they're a great company. They pay claims.
Yeah, they've been doing good that
Yeah.
way, it's just the
Yeah.
cost of it.
That's exactly right, and that's why I feel you're right. I mean, and if you look at our claims, and if Walmart's getting another 15% off of $1 million or $1.5 million in claims, that's $250,000. Like it kind of all makes sense. And I mean, as upset as we were with the 49% increase, we could hardly tell them that it wasn't warranted.
Yeah, and I don't feel sorry for some of our healthcare providers around here, because they're supposed to be nonprofit. So
Yeah.
it's about us right now.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this first page, Brittany put together. So this would be if we went with those two Walmart plans, our monthly premium with the funding at 25% is the 118,000 number. So total annual premium, the 1.4 million. Our current Health Partners is 1.3 million. Obviously, renewal's not really applicable. But our thought, or one thing I think to consider as a board, is to not have to come back here in 6 months and say, ooh, we're running at 32%. We're gonna need $40,000 in our claims fund to help pay the claims. Do we consider, meeting in the middle? Like it really is a philosophy thing. We've got some counties that they've got a reserve of $800,000 to $1 million in their claims paying fund. One thing we could do, I mean, there's so many options, but one thing we could do here, if I just say the high, if we just went with what we budgeted at the 1.73 or 1.79 million, we would expect you to have my math's not great, but $370,000 of excess funds next year when we meet, and that would be to help us pay claims. So if you want to go to page 2, Carla.
Oops, sorry, I'm
You're right.
on the wrong,
No, you're fine.
there we go.
So, do you remember what you said the break-even number was?
Like 65
Okay.
usage.
And that was
Oh,
off
for
of
renewal. That was-
the 29% increase, right?
Yes.
So let's see. So down here, this line 27, this is where this partial funding from above, that is the amount of money that would be going into the fund to help pay claims for that after out of pocket or after deductible and before the well mark.
Yeah.
And so, and that, all of this math equals that 118,000, that whatever was on that first page. That's how that math came about. All we would have to do to increase that bucket, if we wanted to, we could actually put, if you put 65% up above, Carla?
And actually, if you go to this
Oh.
tab, the usage and total premium, you can plug 65% and it'll update the whole spreadsheet, I believe.
Right here?
Yep. And so, yeah, you can see that adjusts line 27 significantly on what you're funding into that side fund.
And does it fix all of it? If she goes a little bit to the right, does it have?
Yep.
If you go just a little to the right, Carla. There you go. So that's, that annual funding amount, and I probably should have showed you that prior to the 65. That's a huge amount. There's, we got another sheet. At 25%, that annual funding amount, which we would expect to be paying out, is 157,000. So that's where we kind of have I would say a discussion or decision on where do we want to go. So our thought is, or what some groups do is, let's just say we went through and did it at budget. Next year we come back, we get a 7% increase from Wellmark. Well, we know full well that we don't need to be funding 354 and 709. That's way overfunding. We would back those numbers down to potentially the 136, like what we're seeing at the 25% level. So that's where, and then in doing that, you're really taking a 7% increase down to a 3. Like you've got the ability to, with that reserve fund, to kind of bring Wellmark's numbers down. In some years, we've had, groups that, hey, we budgeted 10%, we got 6, we're going to stick with 10. We want that 300 to become 400 to become 600. At some point, you get kind of more than you need, and you kind of top it off. But that's kind of the premise, and I didn't know.
Okay, so all of this is based on which one, the second or the third Walmart?
That would be the middle.
Yep.
Middle one?
Yep.
Yep, the middle one. And we did show, just kind of for comparison purposes, on the first green column, the Wellmark one, that's if we were to purchase the Wellmark plan that matches what you have today. So you can see that those premiums, it wouldn't be feasible to do that, but that's what Wellmark would price them at today.
So how would the partial self-funding be reflected if we went with the third column?
So the third column is we kind of tried to put it in italics. That's just the Wellmark plan we're buying to fund to that middle column. So we kind of wanted you to see it, but it's not really, yeah.
Yeah, just kind of to see what those premiums would be. And two, this partial self-fund will come with a lot of employee education too. So like if you call Wellmark and say, what's my deductible, they'll tell you it's 5,000. And I get calls all the time on people who are really concerned. They're like, I just called the insurance company. They're saying my deductible is 5,000. I thought it was 1,000. Yes, that is true, but Wellmark is, all they know is that you have a 5,000 deductible.
How is partial self-funding going to reflect on the HSA?
Yep, so that page 2, our suggestion would be, there you go. Sorry on that page 2.
So that'd be the third tab there?
Yep, the
Yep.
third tab, yeah. So very similar process. We would put the same usage on the HSA as the,
Now in this example, it's still at that 65%,
yeah,
where the one on paper,
is 25.
yeah. So we would, the 65% example, that 79,000 would be going into the annual fund. At our 25%, it would be 30,625, which is on our hard copy. And that again, now that we've kind of talked through it, that 25 we kind of think is our break even. So if you said we're going to do it at 25%, there's a chance we come back to say we're 20,000 short, or so it's a question of, I know how big that number was to budget for. Like I don't know what to suggest. If money grew on trees and the world was perfect and you could swing that 29%, it would, to have that $300,000 reserve would really set us up longer term.
Okay.
But I wouldn't judge you if you'd,
This is a lot of numbers in a lot of spreadsheets, but what a lot of people are gonna wonder, okay, number one, how does, you're showing, from the current to that middle column, the change versus current, that plan would, go down 0.388%, correct?
with partial,
With
yep.
So what I'm looking at is the county's gonna be spending on the plan for each individual, this 687, which is actually lower than last year. Well, I guess I'm looking at the HSA.
Well, and it's from renewal. It's based off that negative 3.88 is,
Oh, versus the renewal.
yeah. So it's a little bit of,
Well, no,
because like if you see,
no, it's from current.
On the traditional plan, the negative 3.88. Yeah, so that's off of, let me just double check the formula. That's
yeah,
off of
it's a
current.
little skewed because the HSA is not as good of a deal. Or like
Yeah.
we're saving,
It's
Yeah.
up 20%.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
And that all comes down to how, like, different carriers will price their plans differently. So Wellmark prices their HSA higher
Yeah.
than what Health Partners does. Why?
Yeah, that's exactly
I'm not
right.
sure, but yeah, that's a good point to point out.
Yeah. So
So with the partial self-fund, the HSA for a single person would be $768.86.
at that 25%.
At 25%.
Yep, of our 25% utilization, if we.
Yep.
So if we look
But if we
at,
do the 65%, it would be what?
880, is that 885?
885. Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
We're looking at.
So
On
Oh,
line
I'm sorry.
29.
Yep.
that
yeah,
first
line
number.
29.
Oh,
Total rate.
so with a spouse, what is that doing from year to year then? What's the cost of one of our employees that has a spouse or a child? What's it gonna do?
Yep, so if you look, which plan do you want to look at? The untraditional, page
Traditional,
one. So, again, I hate to, it's so wordy, but so the paper copy's at 25%, break even. So employee spouse was 2,041, and that's going to 1,615.
So it actually goes down for them.
Yep. Employee child, 1,410 goes to 1,514. Family's pretty darn close, $16 off, $16 up.
Knowing our history with the partial self-fund, I think 25% is too low.
Especially this year's history.
I've been on the end of trying to figure out where to get another $60,000-$80,000, and I don't want to do that.
Uh-huh,
Yeah.
We've already budgeted the 29.
that's, I would agree.
Yeah.
Would we go all the way to the 65 then? Is that what you utilize all the funds we budgeted, right?
Let me go back to that page one, Carl.
Um,
I just want to double check our math because it was,
This one?
yeah,
Yeah, usage and total premium.
close. So that takes it to 1717 versus 1793. So it's probably 68% or something if we wanted to.
Yeah,
Hit
match
budget.
what
Under
budgeting.
budget, but putting in 65.
Yeah,
Right.
which,
I don't know if we've ever seen,
that will be the least of our problems.
Yeah.
Because we'll have a 300% increase on our
Yeah.
regular plan if we went through that 65%. It'd be, never happen.
yeah.
And I used to say it'd be if a pandemic happened and all
Right.
that did.
Well, I was always comfortable with the partial self-funding before. I mean, I didn't have to deal with it like you guys do, but I thought it helped us maintain our costs. So it's not like it's something new, it's something we used to do and it seemed to work back then.
I mean, I know that, we were planning for it anyway. I feel like everybody was planning for it anyway. I feel like it's gonna be it's not fun, but it's not 48% either. I think that, and if we don't use it, it gives us a good starting point on our fund to be able to have something to work with next year.
That's the best advice I could give you for long-term. And in this world, long-term's 3 to 5 years. 3 probably. I mean, it's so crazy, but this will set us up to have more flexibility and to definitely bring that partial number down next year to offset. You know, if Walmart goes up $20 a single and we take the partial down $20 a single, we're even on your budget. So that's where those numbers we have some flexibility to hit a budget number a little better when you've got that reserve.
I got a question. Comparing the HSA and traditional plans, it seems like the HSA plan the premiums are about the same.
Yeah,
And so why would anyone take that?
that's a good question. And that kind of goes back to Wellmark's, just how they rate those plans. They think there's more risk in an HSA than Health Partners does. So it would really be, it would be tough. You have to be super healthy and really want the tax advantage. I haven't looked at the family to family. Yeah, that's a great.
But somebody my age, close to 65,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I could be stashing money away that goes towards my supplemental in the future as an HSA.
Yep.
But in the meantime, I'm paying out of pocket a lot.
Right.
Yeah, it just all depends on what you're comfortable with.
Yeah, but our spread on the family was $400 a month before, and now it's,
Right,
So how
before it
many-
was the better plan.
Right.
Here it's by far the worst.
yeah.
How many people do we have utilizing the HSA?
21?
Yeah. we
Quarter.
can see 15.
And maybe down dramatically after the change.
It will.
Yeah.
And Brittany alluded to it. So and some probably remember from the days of the partial funding, a third-party administrator, Wellmark sends the claims directly to them. They'll pay providers, and then on the pharmacy side, they'll pay individuals directly. There's a process that we would, at open enrollment, we definitely want to be here to help educate the employees on that. And then quite honestly, to your point, make sure like that the person doesn't come in and just say, I want to have what I had last year. Well, the amount going into your HSA is quite a bit different. We got to sit down with you and make sure that you want to do it for the tax reasons, or I really haven't been to the doctor in 4 years and I love the HSA. I got a bunch of money in it, so be it. If you do move from an HSA to traditional, that money rolls with you and you can still use it for co-pays and anything you just technically can't contribute.
You just gotta, you then have to stay away from flex.
You could go back to flex. Are we 1-1 though?
For flex, I believe.
Did we switch that, or am I be thinking of a
What's
different
that?
flex?
I
You
can't
saw
remember.
flex.
7-1 or 1-1? Renewal date.
I think it's one.
Flex is
6
1
Yeah,
month.
flex,
Yeah, I
think
thought
it's
it was.
1-1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, like, I went in on HSA, but my wife renewed her
Yeah.
flex, so I couldn't go on just getting the money into HSA, and it's like, nightmare.
Call your senator.
Yeah.
It's
It's
ridiculous,
almost
the
like
red
we
tape.
need to file separately in our taxes to make it work.
Yeah.
I don't know, what do you guys think? You're really quiet up here.
It's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
It's just so frustrating. It's really frustrating.
I think we need to
I'm-
act on it fairly soon, so
Yeah.
we can,
I think the
Get ready
budget,
for that
we
month from
budgeted
now.
for 29, and everybody has that in their budgets, and it was horrible, but it's certainly not as horrible as,
so you're saying plug in the 65% usage in the middle plan.
yep. I mean, that seems like the best route to me.
And the only other thing that really stinks is like for people who met their deductible with Health Partners, you're gonna start a new deductible July 1st.
No, good news.
Yeah. We do
That'll
have
be-
some good news for that.
Yeah, they'll get deductible credit.
Yeah.
Really?
gonna
Yes.
ask you that, 'cause
Yes.
I hit mine yesterday.
Yes.
Friday.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
Yeah, and it does take some time. So how that process works is usually 60, sometimes we wait 90 days, but mostly 60. After July 1, we request a report from Health Partners and have them send all of the claims to Wellmark. So then, that allows for like if you had a surgery on, June 30th, it's not gonna get filed with insurance till July 30th, whatever. So then Wellmark will know, Carla, you've met your 2,000 out of pocket. So in the meantime, though, it can get a little sticky with claims because providers will say, no, we need our money, and the partial won't know that you've met it yet either. So we do a lot of hand holding.
Or something.
exactly.
Yeah.
We'll have a list of
Yep.
probably 15 people that you get on our, kind of our highlight sheet
Yep.
and we've done it a ton. It's not great, but it's better than,
Yeah.
it's way better than, yeah,
well,
everybody's
yeah,
pretty
'cause
good.
that would
with
be
it.
awful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
we'll call providers too and say, hey,
Yeah.
FYI, the county switched insurance, they met their out of pocket, can you, put them on a grace period for 30 days until claims go through? So most of the time providers are okay.
Good question.
Bill,
Yeah,
are you with us?
I'll pass.
miles from here. I don't like this discussion.
Nobody likes this discussion.
It's unfortunate that's gonna affect the HSA
Yeah,
folks, because we really just did that.
Yep.
But we can't afford to stay on the old
And
plan.
we can, yeah,
Yeah.
but that's why I asked how many were affected, so.
You just know what the premiums for an HSA plan does as you increase the max out of pocket, like, is there rates at a certain point that make it worthwhile, like if it was not 6,500, if it was 10,000?
great question. So this far right plan,
Yeah,
I mean, we could, in theory, offer that and not do a buy down. So that's the real price. That's the real price if you bought a $6,500 HSA.
And we do have some clients that do that, where they've got, if an employee is really healthy, they never go to the doctor, and they want an HSA, they'll sign up for that 6,500 one, you know, because it's cheaper premium.
Sure.
It's
A little
terrible.
bit more risk than it used to be, that the amount you'd save would more than cover your.
I mean, look at how bad this, it's bad. I mean, their Wellmark's HSA is 2,100 for a family. And the copay plan's 2,280. Like, to have 4,000 a risk versus 13,000 for $150, it's like you can't really pencil the math out.
So in other words, we really have to stress people coming to those enrollment meetings on May 12th and 13th, because it's basically all changing. I mean, every single plan is changing.
Yep.
We almost need to make it mandatory.
100%.
So you've already set up the dates for that?
Yes.
Okay.
Because May 12th is basically like a presentation type of thing, right?
How we've done in the past.
And then May 13th would be like you can make appointments,
Yeah, yeah. And if-
personally make appointments
Do
with.
appointments.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. And, you know, if people aren't able to be there, I know sometimes it can be hard on a Friday in May too. You know, phone
Oh, it'll be
appointments.
30 degrees, we'll be fine.
Yeah.
Ice snow on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Will there be any changes in the dental?
so dental renew,
Did they
I mean,
did they get a hold of you? Because we talked to them at the.
yeah, so
okay.
we can talk about changing those plans.
Okay.
That has, priority has kind of taken
Sure,
the health. thing,
Absolutely,
but
I
yeah,
just
we
didn't
can-
know if it'd come up or not.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, so Delta Dental, Brendan, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, good.
Yeah. Reached out. So yes, we can take a look at that and follow up with that. Maybe get some good news on that.
Yeah, we talked to one of the dental providers in town, and they actually said that our county has the worst dental insurance they've seen in everyone that they do business with.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Actually,
It's
that's what my dentist
wow.
says too.
Well, and then when we went to that
That's
conference
why I don't have it.
a couple weeks ago, they said that it was like a 5 to 7 year old plan
It
that
is
had
an
been
older plan.
grandfathered in.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So they're
they
like,
said they don't
"No
even
wonder."
offer it anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So,
What dentist was that? The one here in town?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
more than one of them. have
Yeah.
said it.
Mine
Yeah.
is the
Okay. Okay.
Garner Dental Group.
Has said that too. Okay. Well, let's look at getting that better then.
yeah, more than one dentist says it's the worst thing we've ever seen. That's bad.
Time to change.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes they say that when they're not getting reimbursed.
I was gonna say, I wonder,
The
their
one I go-
reimbursements might
the
be
one
better
I
on
go
them.
to, they're encouraging the savings plan where you put money every month into their savings plan and they give you the discounts.
They're their own insurance.
Right, yeah,
I did that for a while.
yeah.
Well, we
That's
actually,
what I do too.
we actually looked at it compared to what we have, and it's a better deal. So, I mean, when you can just, I don't know, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
So-
is.
yeah.
When does that renew?
Same time.
Same time, yep, yep. So people would have the option to add the new plan, drop it, all that stuff, yep.
What about the vision? I guess while you're looking at it all, you might as well look at vision too.
Yeah, we've already done that.
Okay.
Yep,
We're in the process of
Yep.
discussing all that too, so.
yep, we've
I
got,
just don't like the
quite a
idea of having to put out of pocket and then get reimbursed for glasses.
mhm.
They're not cheap.
No, those costs have skyrocketed.
That's the $10 meters.
Yeah.
Is 6,500 the highest HSA plans they offer?
That was Walmart's
I think
highest
so, yep.
in our segment. I think you can go up to 7,900 legally. They have caps from the Affordable Care Act, but they couldn't go so high. It's a little bit lower than like that 8,550 on our traditional plan. The HSA, for whatever reason, there's some rule that it can't exceed. I don't know the exact legal language, but it's always lower than the than a copay plan's out of pocket.
More discussion?
You guys get all your questions answered then? Might as well go on.
Discussion with possible action regarding health insurance.
I would make a motion to move to Wellmark alternate 5,000 PSF to 1,000, whatever that's called, with the partially self-funding at the 65% usage rate, utilizing the budget we plugged in. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I'll second that. All in favor? Say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Sure.
Well, I was gonna second it, but she was too quick. I was gonna say I was gonna begrudgingly second.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's
Noted.
because when we heard the 48, 49, we all felt like we got kicked in the stomach.
It took us 2 days to call Carla. We
And
were.
at least this feels like a better solution than that.
Well, and it would be really nice if they could make up their mind a little sooner when you're still in your budget process.
I know.
Finalized.
Now, that'll be one positive with Wellmark. It probably won't happen this first renewal. We've got another county that had their first renewal and it came out later, but they're traditionally the best at early releases. So that will be a positive with them. By far the best, just because they're the biggest, so they can
Reject faster.
Yeah, they got more room for an error in our favor.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all. We'll be
Yeah,
seeing you soon.
Okay.
And then we'll get dental.
yes, dental vision and, yeah,
Thank you.
thanks.
Did you say May 12 and 13?
What's that?
May 12 and 13?
Yes,
I'm gonna put that out there right now for my nurses so they can rearrange their
schedules.
schedules.
Yeah, we'll get a letter out soon too. We just,
It's just, I'll just send out a quick email saying that the 12th will not be
good.
common
Won't be good
and
for
well,
me.
both
So
of them
so
will
they're
be
gonna do a
mandatory.
presentation a couple of
Calling
times.
in?
now,
Yep.
And then set up appointments.
usually we do
Yeah.
2 or 3 presentations on the 12th and then appointments on the 13th.
Do you have a big conference room you can do that? Or not yet?
Not yet.
I go these deductibles, I get
Nice. Would be nice.
What a racket.
Because I think that's the
I just-
live.
I hate the idea of a racket. I don't know how it ever gets so expensive and prices just keep going up. All right,
And their floating along the rate of inflation doesn't include the medical expenses.
I thought maybe everybody was gonna stay for the number 8. Thought maybe the crowd was gonna stick around.
Guess not, huh?
Well, we've already kind of decided that we're.
Well, and I changed my whole resolution again.
Oh, did you reword it again?
I've reworded it so many times, I don't even know what to do with it.
Sure.
Have you been getting feedback from some of the other?
Auditors and Jamie Cashman and the whole works. I actually have a couple ways, and I had Kelsey look at it, and I
Promise I won't spill this one.
you guys can decide how you want to do it. There's just 3 of them there, no big deal.
There's 3 different choices.
3 different ones.
Actually, 2, but you decide if you want to just pass 1 or pass 2 of them.
So there's 3 in front of you, Terry.
And you can
3
decide
different
if you want
ones.
to pass 1 of them or 2 of them.
What if we don't like any of them?
Then you don't have to do any of them.
Do it yourself, right?
So technically, the way I'm gonna report it is through the revenue loss. So the way I think we should actually do it is this one.
Yeah.
So I made, this one is a 1, or you can pass this one and this one. But technically think that you should just do this one instead of, but if you want to do so that, you know what I'm saying?
Second, I got stopped my head from spinning.
Just think if you can't even look at the sheets, what's going through your head?
Okay, so. So this one that's all inclusive doesn't really define where it's going.
Right, because we're technically just going to report it as the revenue loss because you only have, when you do it as the revenue loss, when you report it to ARPA, you only report it as the revenue loss. But if you,
And are other counties doing that,
yes,
that way?
That's
So it's
how-
just kind of
And
an
that's a simpler way of doing it. than-
umbrella kind of a thing.
yeah, because then,
Bless you. Bless you.
but if for our records, you want it like,
Is my eye bleeding yet?
if you want to pass both of those resolutions, you can pass both of them. But for the ARPA, I think that we just pass it as revenue loss.
What should be number 2? Yeah, I think if we, for the purpose of allocating funds and people being assured they're gonna be able to use it, I think we should pass both that 1 and 2,
Okay,
do away with that other one.
okay.
I wasn't here last week and Susan tried to catch me up at the Board of Health meeting. So
We resolved did they pass it to where all the funds are gonna be available?
So what Robert Schwartz sent me an email.
Yeah, he sent an email out.
Did he send it to you too?
Yeah,
Okay, then I don't need to read it.
so
they pulled that from a bill, so it was a non-issue.
Yeah,
so all the funds that you're expecting,
Should be coming soon.
should come.
so you're not getting only half. That's what I'm just asking, I
Yeah,
guess.
well, until we get it,
Right,
but
are you gonna have to?
When was the
Pay it back?
actual date that second round of funding? They never had a
It's
date.
about this time of year it
it's
came last.
supposed to be coming, but I don't
There
have an
was
actual
about-
date.
No.
So if Robert's information is correct, it should be coming anytime.
So I guess it doesn't really matter at this point, but where did that information come from that we thought that it might not happen?
Jamie Cashman
Jamie,
came from Congress,
that might,
But then Robert's information also came from.
Jamie Cashman, yes.
What's the difference between these two?
The number 1 and 2 at the top?
Well, which one?
Yeah, I was gonna say, the only difference I can see is one's got a 01 at the end, the other one's got a 02, other than they're identical.
Yes.
Well, there's a pair, where's the one that was off by itself? Is that the correct one? No, I got-
That's the one with,
this is the one that's more
It's got the actual amount that we're,
Okay.
the public health, the
And it's a number
conservation.
1?
So this is the one you think is too specific and this is more of an umbrella?
Yeah, I say we do it in the pair, do each of those resolutions.
so then you would want the one that says number 1 and number 2, and then get rid of the one that says number 1.
With
So-
specifics. Get rid of that one.
As long as we,
No, because, well, you said, so you want one of each. and not just,
Well, for the purpose of the
No.
government,
This one also has 2021 on it instead of 2022 at the top.
well, that one we're getting rid of anyway, because it has the one on the top.
what I'm saying is we want to pass that other number one for the purpose of the government, ARPA rules, simplicity, loss of revenue.
This one?
Yeah. And then also pass the other one, that number two, to specify where some of the funds are going for the purpose of her project, and the other projects for now. We can pass another resolution later when we figure out.
This one
So-
doesn't have the
This one
dollar.
doesn't have, this is the only one that has the dollar amount on it.
Right, then we'll get rid of this one.
Rid of that one, so this one's our number one, except for you need to change the 2022.
Yep. Can't believe Kelsey didn't catch that.
So this, we feel like this will,
She's just probably testing us.
this will fulfill their requirements and will still. Why do we really need both of them then, is what I'm asking.
Well, I want to make sure.
Because that one's for ARPA. I need that one for ARPA. This is for us.
Oh,
This is for our budgetary
Oh, this is
thing.
just
for our
People
budgetary
can start
process.
planning on spending
I
their
got it
money.
now. Yep.
Okay.
Specifically Robert.
Mhm.
And then what number did we put into Robert's? Was it 500?
Yep.
Okay.
I need coffee.
I need my water. I'm not looking it off the
One
floor.
sip of my tea.
Oh, you're having tea?
I've got herbal tea.
Fancy.
I'm really getting
I had tea and crumpets this morning before I left the house.
That's that shotgun one or that black powder or
It's
whatever?
the Black Rifle Espresso with cream.
Sure.
I mean, it's pretty smooth, but it's not a lot of volume, so
Mm.
I don't have the urges to release as much.
There you go.
I looked at the milligrams, and it doesn't affect me like Monster does. Monster's too.
Oh,
This
yeah.
stuff doesn't, but it keeps the alertness there.
It's the cream in there.
I don't know, it's got-
It downplays the
It is,
caffeine.
yeah.
It's
Cutting
probably
the
got
caffeine.
50% more milligrams of caffeine in it than Monster,
Boy, maybe I
but
should
it
have.
doesn't.
Tell us if it's good or bad, Judy.
Yeah, my wife read through it one day. She's like, somebody gave me a case of that. They ended up with off the truck or something. They don't drink it, so.
I did their Black Rifle coffee before.
Yeah, I like their coffee.
What's
Not-
that? Black,
it's not
Beyond Black,
No.
I think is the one I,
And where
one
did
of
you
my
get
guys.
that at?
I
Online.
get that at hometown
Actually,
market.
This, yeah, but I
Actually,
get the Black Rifle
And I
coffee
buy it.
online.
I buy it room temperature and
It's-
just drink it that way because I don't like it cold.
They've got it at Shields in Mankato.
Yeah, they have it at Menards,
And,
but it's just as cheap at hometown market.
oh, they have it at Hometown Market?
Yeah, two
Black
for,
Rifle?
2 for $5.
Oh, really? Oh, I'd rather buy it there. I just did, so, the grocery store Buffalo doesn't have it. so.
It's in the cooler by where the old pop machine used to be. And it's
Oh, you
also,
mean this stuff?
So are we
I'm
changing
talking
the
the
date
coffee.
on that?
Yeah, I can't find it.
Yeah. and
Oh,
I
This
got-
computer.
It does smell like coffee.
I've got a grinder,
Is
so I
it
got
something
the
we-
beans.
Oh, do you get the beans?
Yeah.
I don't
You
have a
to do
grinder.
it today, though.
Yes.
Like coffee.
this is a lot
Let me
easier.
go get it.
I can drink this on the way to town. My coffee, it'll sit in my cup, I'll never drink it,
Really?
so I don't get the cool effect.
I have to have too much creamer in my coffee.
The creamer's okay, it's the sugar you add to it that's not.
I don't add sugar, but I add a lot of creamer. I mean, I bet it's
The
that.
creamer's actually got some nutritional value to it.
So what was your thoughts on the layout?
That's kind of like this. I don't have my glasses, so I can't really see a whole lot of what the little tiny writing is, but
This one overlays it a little bit on the east side.
so this is our Which way? This is our
Turn
current,
it- Turn it around.
this
yeah,
way?
Yeah,
Maybe if I had some chocolate.
the narrow part is the new part. So it would connect
no
on the
caffeine
east
in
side
chocolate.
rather than the north side. I try to do it through that conference room,
mm-hmm, in that back corner.
yeah.
I always thought there should have
But it
been a door.
brings it
I always
farther-
thought there should have been a door there anyway, because us people over on this end, if there's a fire,
And then.
we only have really one way to
If you
get
look
out.
at that first one, you'll see there's extra space in the conference room. I don't know if you put another door at the end of that one hallway next to the, whatever that one room is, I gotta look at it. What's the room just, south of the conference room?
That room, actually,
That's the computer room.
nope, not anymore. The computer room is actually over here.
Okay, well, the one that used to be the computer room.
This is actually smaller. This is where like our break is, and then this room is Allison's office right here.
Okay. See, your office, is it actually that big?
No,
I was gonna say.
this
that
is
doesn't
my,
look like-
this is my office right here. It's not that big.
No, that's the VA.
Oh, yeah, this is my office.
Yeah.
It's
I
not
was
that
thinking
big.
This one's 6 foot or something.
Mm-mm, no. Mm-mm.
So this is
There
the
you
correct
go.
layout.
She
Not
needs
the
to
correct,
send
but
that.
that's kind of the.
Well, y'all need to
the
send
thing.
that
On
This
my
is-
computer, I can adjust those walls. I
mhm,
can't do this.
right. So, yeah, and I don't think these offices are as big. This room, I think, is bigger, and then, actually, this is one whole room right here. There's no wall right there, because that's and that's
But I'd
the
like
office.
I'd like to get it a little more accurate to what actual is, so if we give some information like this to the architect. it'll
Or
have
you can
that
come over and measure anytime. I don't know if the VA is that big, because I think it butts up right up here.
Is VA big enough the way it is right now? For
I
them?
think so.
Is it too big? Does she have
I thought it was,
I have-
when I was in there with my dad,
Mhm.
it seemed just a little cramped, but
Mhm.
I don't know if it's worth changing.
Well, and it depends on who's there and how much stuff they have in there too.
Yeah,
Their
and
own.
it could be she's a little less cluttered than
Yeah.
the last person I was.
Yep.
When he was there.
And actually, I think like this, I know this isn't right. I know her entryway isn't that big. I know that's not right.
Well, and then I didn't put in the full thickness walls, so
Right.
that kind of looked
Right.
like some extra.
Just leave it.
So maybe we should just, I mean,
The reason I did that
That's why Russell.
specific drawing,
this one,
yeah, on the north side, that gives more room to drive around and maybe even park on the east side.
over here? No, the east side?
Well, wait a minute, yeah,
It sits this way.
yeah, right, so the east
Oh, over
side
here.
would be over there.
Oh, right through here. Mhm.
While that keeps our existing parking lot,
Right,
so we're not tearing that up. And then on the east side of the addition, there's a possibility we might be able to fit in more parking
right there.
if we choose, but that's a cost.
Mm-hmm.
We could just do a driveway to go around. So that you have a flatter driveway on the north side than where we're at now,
Mm-hmm.
in addition to.
So Terry, you have the resolution for disbursement of ARPA funds in front of you.
Okay, looking. Okay, so I guess I'll make a motion to approve resolution 0419-2022-0101. Resolution to approve disbursement of funds for the American Rescue Plan Act.
So
Start with that one.
start with that one.
I'll second it.
So we have a motion by Derby, seconded by Jens Fold. And a resolution for disbursement of ARPA funds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passed.
I will make a motion to approve resolution number 0419-2022-0102, resolution allocating American Rescue Plan Act funds.
I'll second it.
Motion by Derby, seconded by Jensvold. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Boy, I sure hope we did that right. All right,
So I guess you'll have to absorb that and see.
Yeah,
The one thing down there, I had an entrance with an office on the east side of the entrance with glass possibly.
so this would be our this entrance.
Yeah, it's kind of that entrance, but it'd be within. I mean, we could put it out, but we're taking up parking spaces then.
Right.
You may have to have a little more overhang or something just there, right there or something. I don't know, that's up to the guys to decide, but that would still give us room to.
So this would be still our main entrance right here?
No.
No.
I'm thinking your main entrance could be there and you could do your shop clinics and stuff over there.
Oh, through over here.
That makes
Gotcha.
sense.
Mm-hmm. I see what you're saying. So we changed the main entrance to over here.
Yeah, then you can still utilize those other offices. Looks like plenty of offices, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
And you can see, I'm not sure, I'll email it to you so you can blow it up on your computer to read some of the dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
can you email that to all of us?
Yeah. I just finished a couple of them this morning, so.
Good to see.
Some of these, no, I'll probably just start with that one. That one seemed to fit better, I think.
Julie, maybe you need to have a special board meeting or something too after you've looked it over and really walk through and look.
Mm-hmm. But I think maybe you should come and really see how big each of these existing ones are, because like, I know this one's not as big as it says. I know they gave Allison a little bit more room where her office is currently. This closet, that is not as big as that is either.
3 foot by 12
Find a
foot,
place for the
or 3 by 10.
refrigerator in there, the
What?
freezer? Is there
No,
a place for the refrigerator, freezer?
That would be, so it could be together, yeah, that would be nice.
But what I was thinking was if you put a door, here's that existing hallway.
Yep,
You put a door here so you can transfer to the new part there and make this an office, that was what you wanted to do.
mm-hmm,
The west end of the conference room and do an office.
mm-hmm.
If you need that extra office, but right now we're gonna end up with a lot more offices than
I
we
think
have.
so, yeah. Well, I know you can't move this room, this is the mechanical room, right here.
And I don't know if the record storage would stay there or if you can that over there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, should we talk about EMS Advisory Committee,
Sure.
number 9?
What's our target for our first committee? How many people do we wanna put on it in our, just for the advisory committee, just for the purpose of the vote? We want a dozen people on there, are we gonna want, or, I mean, that's just an arbitrary number, but I guess we could go back and look. Are we, as supervisors, doing all the appointing, or are we gonna allow, like, say, each town to give us a recommendation on somebody from their town to be on it, or like the mayor would make a recommendation, whether it's himself or herself or their designee, or
Well, with some of the names that we already have, we have already from Buffalo Center, Thompson, and Lake Mills, were some of the names that I have.
I just don't wanna load up a committee from one part of the county, but we gotta be somewhat by population too, but I'd like to have just about every part of the county represented. That's why I think it's gotta be a little bit bigger committee without oversizing it to where you have to have a large meeting room.
Well, you will have one soon, someday.
Not before this is good.
No, I'm just,
So I think 12 might be too many, I think 10 might be.
Well, down the road, you're probably only gonna need an advisory council of 5 to 7 or something, But for now, and then there's gonna be one supervisor on it, correct? I think it should be the person that's not up for election, that's just my opinion.
And why do you think that?
They turn some voters against us.
No, it's just the way it's designated.
That
I
sounds
think-
like it.
I think that's not
I-
such a great
I-
idea.
I can't say that I disagree with that railroad effort.
I mean, I've been through an election while I'm in the middle of one of those committees, and I'm still here, but it was challenging.
That was a little more of a heated one, if
It was definitely heated, this one's less heated.
yes.
Are you sure?
Mhm.
And
I have another meeting at 11.
are we gonna have voting council members, but we have EMS people giving them information at their meetings? Or do they do their research outside of the meeting? Do we have EMS people on the committee?
That's it.
Like one person from each EMS to be a part of the committee, or just be as ex officios to give them information?
I don't know, but it's gonna be a lot of work.
Well, I know. I just don't want the people that are gonna be voting on it being led to believe that this is all formulated by the EMS people. I think it's gotta be a fair way of
Well, you could
looking at
have
it.
one representative from each service, and then, like if you're gonna
As
have.
a voting member or as an ex officio?
I would think that as a voting member, there'd only be 3 of them, and if you had at least 12 to 15 on this original committee, then they wouldn't be the largest voting block out there, whatever it's.
So we got 7 communities. Do you want to have one from each community, or
One from each, maybe, one from each of the smaller ones, 2 from Lake Mills and 3 from Forest City or something, or.
so that would add 3 to that, so that's 10 right there. And then you're adding 3 more for the EMS, and then you're adding a supervisor, so you're at
That's 14.
14.
Because, you should have it somewhat represented by population.
And are we going to add Andy to the mix?
At who?
Andy.
Oh,
He would probably be a good one to have in the mix. He's probably listening to this, reading this tea.
Because if you look at it, if you have somebody from each service, so there'll be 4 people from Forest City. Because you're adding 3 representatives because of population, plus the EMS person.
Well, the Buffalo Center will also have 2, and Lake Mills would also then have 3, or, so it, so percentage still kind of works out, not too bad.
It's probably one of those things where, okay, see, we're still at 14 then?
If they, with Andy, I think it's 15.
15 with Andy, that'd be an odd number to,
Won't have any tie votes.
I'm trying to think of except not everybody shows up for every meeting.
That might be too.
Yeah. So if you go with a smaller, I'm just trying to look at different ways of it. If you do a smaller number, is there any way to fairly do that in a smaller number, say 11 people or something?
Because you want,
And
well, I mean, if you were to eliminate one from each community and then have like Buffalo Center only open up having one or whatever, because it would be the ambulance member. But I think it.
Well, and it kind of depends if you're gonna make them all voting members or not. You know, it could be, maybe the EMS people should just be ex officios on it that provide information and they can provide their input, but they're not actually voting on it. Same with maybe the supervisor and Andy shouldn't be voting members. Maybe it should just be a community committee. I don't know if that makes sense. See, that'd be 3, 5 off, so that you're down to 10 then. But you still have input from everybody.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people are gonna have to do a lot of work,
Mhm.
whether they can vote or not.
You take a little incentive from someone wanting to be there.
And then are we gonna allow for alternates if somebody's not able to be there, but they wanna make sure they're represented? Because this is gonna be a timely thing where you gotta keep those meetings going.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that think that it can't be done in that short a time. Can't be researched.
Well, we're ahead of Worth County the way it sounds.
Yeah, that's for sure.
They asked us
Found that out
how we were
yesterday.
doing it. I never did get an answer from them where they are. I don't think it's anywhere near where we are.
Mhm.
But they've already got to focus on what they're doing, so
Yeah, no, they're very good.
I think they'll have no problem with their vote.
Mhm.
So what do you think?
Their route sounds like a more expensive route,
But they don't have a lot of choice.
yeah, at this point.
So
And they
those
don't-
were the 6 people that have given me their names at the meetings that were.
So who's that?
Well, and now I just added Andy Buffington, but Kinsey Ree, she's on the ambulance through
That's Dressler's
Buffalo
daughter.
Center. Dressler's daughter, yep. Diane Price,
She's
The
used to be the clerk for
administrator,
Thompson, now she is for Lake Mills.
city administrator in Lake Mills.
Or that's okay, that's what it is.
Lou
But lives in
Howland
Thompson.
from Thompson, Barney, and Candy Hanna.
So it might be one of those things where, do we confer with the mayors and see if they're okay with some of these names, or
Now, it may be something they should put before their city council
Council?
meeting on who they want to represent them. So,
That's not a bad idea.
yeah. I mean,
and
just
we
have
can give them a list
cities-
of names that came up at our meetings.
Yeah,
Then
and
they
they can either pick one of them or appoint someone that they want.
Yeah, I feel like I like the idea of non-voting as far as being the supervisor
I think it
on there too.
puts a perception out there, it wasn't on us
Mhm.
to make all these determinations, it's the community.
Yeah.
The other thing I was thinking about, it would have been nice to have one Farm Bureau member. And one of the names that came up at the last meeting that I came up with was the rig.
Oh, yeah.
Very methodical.
Oh, he's a thinker.
And
you
to
guys
me,
know
he's always
everything.
been reasonable. I mean, he looks at things in a reasonable way, but didn't like paying the bill.
Well, none of us want to pay the bill.
No.
And I could tell people as a percentage of my net worth, I'm gonna pay more than somebody that's gonna have a lot of acres in on it. Because their houses are taxed at a different rate than agricultural land.
But if we're gonna do that, I suppose those are all the early part of, I don't know, there's some of them that are like third week of the month, aren't they? Their meetings, cities.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Thompson's early. Forest City just had theirs last week, so maybe, do they have more than one a month?
Buffalo's mistake.
Do we have them
Tuesday night,
on
I
an
would say.
email, all the different mayors and stuff that's just available?
City clerks.
City clerks?
But, I mean, through the E911, I think they've got some of the contacts. I've got the Thompson mayor, I think Fran was, the mayor from Lake Mills.
Mhm.
I think he was on our distribution list,
Was he?
I think so.
Well,
Scarborough break?
just send it to each city clerk to have put on their agenda as quickly as possible to have them discuss who they would
And
like their
maybe we
representative to be.
Individually contact them, maybe I should write down, so I could talk to Forest City and Leland, and then you'd talk to Scarville, Lake Mills, you'd have Thompson, Rake, and Buffalo.
Just go,
I could talk to Thompson if you want, because they're all,
you're there all the time, it's, I know it makes
I'm in
me.
the same building as the mayor lives, so.
Oh, is that right? Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see your list. I'll write them down, so I've got them, just to pass along.
Who was the Colin on there?
Lou, she's from Thompson. They're concerned about,
Maybe a stepmother to the mayor.
Okay, I thought that's how it works. All right.
she was at 2 of the meetings, concerned about,
I wish Hilton would quit calling.
concerned about.
Blocking your numbers and then come up with
Asked
another
they
one.
were able to get to Thompson, you know.
Oh, yeah. Legitimate concern.
Mhm.
That's why,
Those are just the people that I put in my phones at those meetings
and
that
that's,
came up to me after.
that's one reason, just because Thompson is in the center of the county and it's also the largest population without a service. If we just hired a paramedic, to be there, then they could have a first responder and a driver and they could run a rig out of there. We'd only have to hire one person to be there, in a sense.
Yeah, and this is why it's so important to have people who are involved with the ambulance services, because they know those kinds of logistics of what works and how.
Well, Candy has a lot of research. She did all the paperwork for Lake Mills for many years. She hasn't been to one of our meetings, though.
That's because she's had conflicts. I've talked to her before them, and
She seems like
But
after
she's
she
very
got done,
interested.
she was kind of disconnected from all her meetings.
probably feels
Yeah,
kind of
but she
good.
was at the EMS meetings for lots of the EMS meetings.
Well, early on,
Yes.
but not since we started the public forums and things.
Yeah, but she was
And
at,
that's when,
a lot
that's
of
when
those.
she was not mayor.
yeah, but she was at a lot of those EMS meetings.
Kenzie Reed is, she's also on the ambulance, I believe.
She is, yep. She had lots of good questions that night, too, I
Yeah.
thought.
That's why, I could for sure see not having the supervisor at that voting. But, the rest of them, they got some skin in the game. They should be able to vote on what's going on.
How can we make that so that more supervisors can be on this committee?
Oh, we can all
We
be
can
on
all
the
be on
We
it.
committee.
just have to always,
Then we're gonna be getting into a larger group and,
You
yeah.
have to post it.
always posted, yeah.
We could all go.
Or we could tag team.
That makes it hard though, because then you got one person who went to this meeting, you don't know what the,
It's probably best to have,
I think if we just go with the one supervisor and then maybe you can keep us updated through the meetings here, have a report
How
or
did that
something
happen? How
after.
did this happen here now?
well, you're just a logical choice.
You're lucky enough not to be up for election.
You
Well,
don't
that's
have, you
true.
don't have to worry about drinking decaf when people open their mouths. That's why I'm drinking.
All right, let's see, where are we at, guys?
We're on the advisory committee.
Yeah, so we're gonna contact I'm gonna contact Scarville Lake Mills, have them put it on their agendas. You're gonna do Thompson, Forest City, and you're gonna do Buffalo Center. And who's got Rake?
I got Forest City. Jobs.
Just tell them where we're at
All
and give them the list that we currently have and tell them what we're wishing for.
But you'll send out a email to them
You want me to send
Clerks.
to the clerks?
But in the meantime, we'll talk to the mayors or
Yeah,
whatever.
or if they want us to come to their,
And maybe we should be talking to EMS personnel who's gonna be on that. What do we think about the EMS? Should they be a voting part of it, or should they be a ex officio? They will be outvoted. I mean,
Yeah, no, they'll be, they won't be the biggest voting block. So it's, I mean,
I think for them to put in the time and do the work that it's gonna take.
they've got the resources to research.
And they're gonna have the most information too.
I think they should probably.
Just leave it to their services to appoint somebody.
Yeah.
Or recommend somebody to be appointed.
Well, and we got one that's volunteered already here, so on ours, so.
But you'll probably have to confer with them to
Yeah,
make
no,
sure they're okay
they
with
might
that.
wanna pick their representative, they might wanna they have meetings too, once a month, so.
And maybe the mayor themselves wants to be.
On it.
Could be.
If we put it to the council to make that determination, then,
All right,
so that's what we're doing. We're letting the councils do the recommendation to us.
I would think that would.
give us recommendations, yeah.
Let them pick the people they want to represent them, because they've been elected by the people, so it's.
Or a list of names of people.
If they can't decide, they could give us a choice.
They could, I mean, if they have 4 ideas, then that works.
The bad thing there is we're letting city councils do this designation. We don't have rural representation. And,
Well, like you said, if you put somebody from the Farm
Well,
Bureau,
yeah,
Yeah. The Farm Bureau or-
so if we take Andy and the supervisor off the list and add a farm bureau or farming farm owner,
Well, let's see, I'm trying to think of any of the ambulance members that actually farm too. I know some of the drivers do.
I think we want to be careful there. I think it's gotta be somebody that's more invested in farming that is gonna pay it, that has a concern for the costs.
Well, and maybe the city should consider people that are considered from that town.
Do you think,
There could be somebody that's a farmer too, that they.
do you think if we let Farm Bureau have a choice to recommend and let, and then we just pick somebody as our second rural?
Yeah.
Say that was Tom.
Yes. So he would be he's kind of out in the middle of nowhere.
Well, and that's what we need, is somebody out in the middle of nowhere that's.
He's kind of a rate person, that's where he went to school, but,
He's north of Thompson,
yes,
up close to the
he
border.
would be one good rural person.
I look at him as being somebody that would keep everybody down to earth and thinking outside the box. And maybe we need to look at 2 forms of revenue. If it's possible, we gotta find out, can we do that, or can we only do one?
You mean, sales tax too? Well, I remember, for some reason, I got it in my head on that sales tax when I read something about it, that you couldn't get near as much out of that as you could off the property tax.
We don't know that. We don't have those numbers. We'd have to find out from the Department of Revenue what, well, not sales tax, I'm talking about income tax. That's the other choice. So if you put it on income tax, we'd have to find out from the Department of Revenue the last 3 years what income tax revenues there have been, and what we can
Well,
calculate what
if-
that number would
If we
be.
can get the same amount off of, income tax as the property tax, I would lean towards the income
I would
tax,
too.
because it's,
Well, if we could get 3 years of revenue, then we'd know how stable it is.
well.
So we need to know what that
Because there were
is.
some tough years, there were some good years.
No, there's gonna,
Is that something that we can jumpstart and get that information
You
from
could.
them? You know, because I agree with you on that.
that just, because people that are making a couple $100,000 a year running a business has nothing to do with ag are gonna be, but you know, farmers also protect really high incomes too, so it's, they'll be paying.
I don't know if that Julie Rosen would be able to help us down there at Department of Revenue or not. That's who the assessor works with all the time. I don't know, is there people down there you've worked with, Department of Revenue?
I work with the Department of Management.
Yeah.
I don't really work with, I have talked to Julie Rosen, not
Well,
often.
maybe she's very knowledgeable. She'd be able to maybe direct us to the right person to.
To get that information.
Maybe our assessor has contacts, or at least know where.
I think I have Julie Rosen's email.
All right. Well, then you have contacts.
So I'm on that committee,
Yes, you are.
committee of one.
Yeah,
Committee
as
of,
long as the two of us over here
If you-
railroading you.
there's a lot of that going on.
Well, I just gotta manage to dodge this bullet and keep you guys from ganging up on me here, so.
So do we have a date that we'd like to get this information back from?
Which information?
Some names, some
Well,
possible,
we'll be appointing after we approve the resolution on the 17th.
I'm just saying a date to give these, councils.
If they don't have a meeting between now and then, it's a month away almost.
But they,
I'd like to be
doesn't
able-
mean they can't talk.
I would like
you
to
know?
be able to, at that 17th, if we pass it, that we have those names in front of us and we do that the same day. So we probably should just put approval of the, discussion and approval of the resolution on the 17th, and then followed by appointment of
Committee,
advisory committee, or advisory council is what it is.
council. Sounds better.
EMS Advisory Council.
And they may very well choose to bring some people in, experts like this. Julie, you said her name was?
Julie Reisen.
Rosen?
She's the one that has got us our information on the turbines and things like that, what they, how things have transpired, what we can and can't do.
All right, well, I think we've gotten through our agenda. Stand adjourned. And I've got to get some coffee.
What was the first thing on the 17th that was on the agenda?
We are discussion and possible action to approve the resolution designating EMS an essential service.
May 17th,
It's always
and
been
that's during,
public forums and public hearings up until that point.
and this is during board meeting.
So next week, we will, next week we have our first at 6 o'clock at night on Tuesday, we have that first public hearing.
26th, yep.
And we're not gonna try and put it online, it's just gonna be, you have to show up and you can send in comments by email, but
We even said that the other day. It's like, send a letter, we'll read it. Right? We've adjourned. Without you.
the chair adjourned.
Is that
I
right?
did.